Hello everybody, and welcome to Home Ec Lab with me, Mrs. Plum. Today we're going to be making something that is tasty and crispy and totally craveable chicken nuggets. These are easy to make, fun to fry. They're going to be so much better than anything you could pull out of your freezer. We'll also be taking a bite out of food history by exploring a little bit about one of the oldest and boldest spices known to man, garlic. Before we dive into our mixing bowls, though, I have a little nugget of knowledge to share with you, literally. Did you know that chicken nuggets were invented by a food scientist named Robert C. Baker in the 1960s? He was trying to develop a way to make ground chicken hold together while it was frying, and he came up with the idea of the chicken nugget. So you can thank science for your chicken nuggets. Let's go ahead now and take a look at our tools and our ingredients that we're going to need for our lab today. So we're going to need a skillet or a frying pan for frying the nuggets in. We're going to need 2 spoons later for forming the nuggets. We've got some measuring tools, a big mixing bowl, a couple of forks, and for the ingredients, we have our flour, all-purpose flour, salt, garlic powder, pepper, some eggs, some shredded chicken, and a little bit of oil for frying. All right, let's go ahead and get to it. Let me move, give us some room here. Whoop. All right, so here's our large mixing bowl, and the recipe says, in a large bowl, mix flour, salt, garlic powder, and pepper. Here we go. When you're measuring flour, be sure that you don't shake your measuring cup. You want to scoop big. You can even kind of fluff up your flour, and then scoop big and level off. That is a correct measurement of a half a cup of flour. Boop, right in there. Next up, we need a half of a teaspoon of salt. My little salt in here, there we go. And we need a half of a teaspoon of garlic powder. It's also known as granulated garlic, and it literally is just garlic that is dried and ground up into a powder. And then we need our pepper. A little bit less of that. Right, so far our ingredients, the flour is what's going to bind the chicken together, make it form into the nuggets. The salt is going to enhance flavor. The pepper is going to give it a little kick. And the garlic, well, the garlic is our next fun fact. Did you know that ancient people, Chinese, Greeks, Egyptians, valued garlic not only for its flavor, but for its healing properties? Garlic contains an ingredient called allicin that is helpful in fighting bacteria. So there you have it. And one of our oldest and boldest seasonings has good medicinal purposes. All right, so we've got our dry ingredients in there. Now it says beat the eggs in a small bowl and add to the flour mixture. So here's my small bowl. Often when you're cooking and you're going to add eggs, it's a good idea to crack them into a separate container in case you get any shells in there. Here we go. 1 and 2. Okay. when you're beating eggs, you're not stirring it around. You're kind of going in a circle from the bottom to the top. Ooh, there we go. All right, we're going to add those in. All right, next up is the chicken. We're going to mix this until it is a smooth batter. We shouldn't see a bunch of lumps and dry ingredients separated in there. There we go. Ooh, maybe one more little round. Okay, that looks good. All right, so we're going to be adding in 2 cups of shredded chicken. You could use leftover rotisserie chicken. I've seen people use leftover turkey from Thanksgiving and shred it up, just using 2 forks. And you can use that in this recipe as well. Today, though, we're going to be using canned chicken. This is a good quality chicken. It's all white meat. And so we didn't have to prepare anything at all. So dump in those 2 cups of chicken. And keep stirring around, kind of stir and mash it down a little bit. That's going to help make sure all the pieces of chicken are coated with the batter. Look at that, it's forming one nice lump of chicken nugget mixture. Okay, so give us a little more room here. We're going to set up our station for forming our chicken nuggets. If I was doing this for my family, I would form them all and then just fry them in batches. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to make about 6 or 7 of them and we'll start frying them so we can see them right away. All right, so we're going to use the 2-spoon method for making our chicken nuggets. The first spoon, the one in your dominant hand, you're going to scoop. Oh, that was a little bigger than I want. There we go. And then with the back of the other spoon, you're going to push off. And the front of the first spoon, if necessary, can release. Now, these definitely don't need to be, perfect, but you want to get them about the same size so that they cook evenly. So scoop. Whoop, that one kind of fell apart. There we go. Scoop, push, and release. I can get maybe 2 more. Scoop, push, and release. Scoop, push, and release. All right, so we're going to take a break from that for a minute and get our frying pan ready to fry these first 6. So I'm going to drizzle in a little oil. You don't really have to measure your oil when you're going to use it for frying. Just drizzle some in the pan. The recipe says vegetable oil. I'm using olive oil today. Whatever oil you prefer would work just fine for this. All right, so and then it says heat it in the skillet over medium heat. So I don't know what number that is on your cooktop, but I think for mine it's about 7. Come on. All right, that's about halfway around. So while this is heating up, you want your oil to look shimmery, not be smoking. That means you got it too hot. You need to back off the heat a little bit. But while that's heating up, I'm going to use my spoon and kind of form my nugget. So I don't have any like random pieces sticking off. Again, they don't need to be perfect. But you don't, it's better if you don't have little stray strands of chicken sticking out. It'll be easier to manage. right. Okay. And over on the side there, I have already prepared a plate that's got paper towel and some tongs. So once these are done frying, I'll put them on the paper towel to drain off some of the oil. All right, let's take a look. Ooh, it doesn't like it when I do that. So let's try one and see. If it is ready, it will sizzle when you put it in the pan. If not, just wait until it starts sizzling and then you can add in more. I'm going to use my spoon. You can use your spatula or something, whatever you're comfortable with. For me, it seems to work to use the spoon. You can press it down a little bit, reshape. Right, I don't quite see a sizzle just yet. Maybe a little bit on the edge here toward the center. Yep, I see it sizzling over here now. So that tells me we are ready. We can add in the rest of our nuggets, and then you're going to leave them 3 to 4 minutes on each side. So we'll put these in. Try not to crowd them. It's better to do several small batches than to try to do one enormous one and everything is squished up together. All right, we got a nice little sizzle going on there. So I'm going to leave these cooking on this first side for about 3 or 4 minutes. I will check them to see if they're golden brown and crispy looking before I flip them over. And then I'll see you in just a few minutes when we're ready to roll. Hello and welcome back to the kitchen. Our chicken nuggets are looking golden brown and crispy on the outside. Can you hear that sizzle? That is music to my ears. Those are looking and sounding and smelling delicious. So I'm going to turn off my burner here. I'll do another batch later, but I wanted to show you how beautiful golden brown the nuggets are. I'm going to remove them over here to a little tray that I put paper towels on, and then we'll give them a little taste test. All right, so what would chicken nuggets be without having something to dip them in? So here I have 4 options for dipping. I've got barbecue sauce, ranch, maybe a little sweet chili, or one of my favorites, honey mustard. And you do not need to buy a special bottle called honey mustard at the grocery store. You can make it yourself because you might be able to deduce it is just mustard with some honey in it. So while my nuggets were frying, I mixed those 2 ingredients together and made myself a little honey mustard. So I'm going to put a little of that over here. And let's give it a, I'm going to break it, ooh, so you can see what it looks like inside. Ooh, it's pretty hot. All right. Crispy and savory. I can taste the garlic in there. So delicious. Yum. So today you've learned about a little bit about food history, garlic's powerful flavor, and the joy of cooking things on your own from scratch. I hope you're proud of your chicken nuggets and the things you've been learning in the kitchen. That's all for today. See you in the lab next time. And remember, stay curious and keep cooking.